everyone, and welcome to our Community of Practice Session 1. Today, we are going to be looking at developing your personal profiles that will be shared via social media, via the Synapse Zone platform, and in various other media and formats. So, this is about presenting yourself in a structured manner that allows us to understand who you are, how you collaborate, what you offer, what you're interested in, and a range of other things. It takes you through a range of exercises that helps you to refine your offering and refine your product. So I'm excited to get started with you today. There's a template that we will be using on Canva that we will share with you. And via this template, you will, if you haven't used Canva before, learn to use Canva and adapt the templates in a way that makes sense for you and presents your product and your idea in an exciting way. We've used this before and it has worked really, really well. So we are excited to see what you bring to it and what you do with it. So I'm going to share my screen. And here we have the first slide. The first slide is going to introduce you. So it's going to introduce you by name, by country, and it's also going to tell us who you are. So you can come up with something exciting and interesting. So are you a resource builder? Are you an ecosystem builder? Are you like this previous candidate of ours, previous participant of ours, an entrepreneur or some other kind of entrepreneur? Maybe you've coined the word, maybe you've heard it somewhere. There are entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, there are all kinds of varieties. And we're excited to see what you do with it. Now, that's not the only thing that you can say. You can say that you're an author, but we want you to get creative in thinking about what kind of author. Are you not simply a child, an author writing for children, but you're presenting a certain kind of story? So you're thinking about bringing one or two words together that really gets to the heart of who you are. For example, I'm an enterprising ecosystem builder. That's how I describe myself sometimes. Uh, and I'm a creative thinker, or I'm a passionate, you know, dancer, or whatever it is. So you introduce yourself here in a meaningful way that speaks to really who you are. Now, you have the option to use different colors along a color scheme that we have selected, right? So once you choose your color, you then change all the other slides to that color. And there's once you select the color, usually there's a pop-up that comes up to say, do you want to change all the slides to that color? And that's what you're going to do. So here are some of the color options that we have presented for you all. Of course, they're all along a range because they have to work together, right, aesthetically. And that's really important. And then we go to introducing your website or your social media. And so you put that in the circle around. You can put something in the center circle. So when you see this kind of image here, what it's saying is that you can slide an image of your own into that. You can also slide an image into the background that is your own. We don't expect you to keep that image in the background. So this is also showing you the flexibility of the templates that can be used in Canva and how they can come together to create something meaningful. This is a pretty extensive exercise, and in this case, we're not going to expect you to do all, almost 20 slides. We are going to expect you to do at least 10 slides, and of those 10 slides, you must give a testimonial. Here, you are going to include your bio. So this should be a brief bio. We have given you a guide here as to what to put in this bio. So you may need to restructure, reformat, rethink your bio to bring the most out of it. What do you bring to the table or offer in your professional capacity? What do you offer to, in this case, not the Meeting Place community, but Synapse Zone? And so we want you to really think about your bio and the structure of your bio to present something meaningful. In many cases, once we do training and mentorship like this, these programs, we ask you to offer something to the rest of the community. It could be a manual, It could be essentially something that you do well that you want to share with the rest of the community. We're not going to mandate it in this case. We're going to say that it's optional because this is such a short program. But what we would say is that when you offer something, persons are more inspired and inclined to offer something back to you. It's also a way to market yourself because then people understand your range of expertise. And in people understanding your range of expertise through your offer, they are more inclined to engage with you. In understanding your offer through the range of expertise that you present in these manuals and so on, they're more inclined to engage with you. It also shows your generosity of spirit, so it shows what kind of collaborator you would be if they were to engage with you. So this aspect of a collaborative offer is really, really important, significant, and effective in terms of growth for your business and personal growth. So while we're not making it compulsory, we are inviting you to really consider this opportunity to present a collaborative offer and present something that you can share with the rest of the community. Starting to get really exciting and excited here. We're going to start talking here on this slide about your projects and what you're doing. And we want you to think about the distinction of what you're doing overall and what you're doing for this particular project. So you might start with a slide on your overall project, like this is what you do. But then in a following slide, as you continue it, you're going to hone in on specifically what you are doing in this UNESCO grant scheme project. Okay, so just to recap briefly here, the first slide is going to think about the entirety of your project in terms of what your business is about. And then in a second slide, you're going to think about what is your UNESCO Transcultura project about? How is it honing in on one particular aspect of your work? And how does this one particular aspect of the work help the entire project to move forward, to advance in a meaningful way? So this is where the About My Project continued gets into what your UNESCO Transcultura project is about. So that's the first 10 slides, and we're going to jump now to the second 10 slides. Now, as you see, I think that everything here so far is really critical and important for you to do. And it should be pretty easy as well, because you should know this information up front. All right, and so the second set of slides now allows you to then put some imagery, right, that may have some text in it about your project, so people get a better sense of, who you are and what you're doing through the imagery that you're presenting. This is really important, of course. The visual is very, very powerful, and the work that you're all doing on some level is visual. Here again, you have another format to present some of the imagery pertaining to your work. Then you go on with both images and text to help flesh out that picture for persons. All right. Now, in this slide is a critical slide, and it's one that we want everyone to do. So this slide is looking at your personal and business growth check-in. So this is really about the mentorship that you've been going through and how you are growing and thinking differently through this program. How have you grown through the program? What elements of your business have you developed? What has challenged you the most? And what has come out of that? What intrigued you? What are some of your key takeaways? So as I said, this slide is compulsory for everyone to do because this is about your mentorship experience, and this is where we want to see how this program has impacted you, how your mentorship thus far has impacted you, and what you're going to take away. What are you going to do differently? Again, this slide is key. How do you approach collaborations, and what mechanisms do you employ to ensure additionality. Additionality means growth. It means additions and value added, as well as sustainability in your project. So I'm sure your mentors have been talking about sustainability in various ways within your project. And so we want you to think about that here and give us a summary of what you have learned. Of course, when you're using these slides, which are templates, you're always replacing the images and you're always replacing the text prompts that are provided for you. This is one of my personal favorites. It's something I learned from an entrepreneur years ago, who was very, very successful. And I went up to him and I said, what would you say to a young entrepreneur that they need to do, one kind of skill, one exercise that can help them kind of push forward? And he said to me, write your press release in 5 years. Why is this format interesting and important? Because it helps you to think out of the box, right? It's not just, okay, there's one exercise that says write a letter to yourself, and that's really effective. In 1 year, where do you want to be? But your press release in 5 years is how you want people to see you, how you want to feel about yourself, what kind of experience you want to create for others. And so this exercise of creating your press release in 5 years is an exciting and really a meaningful one in terms of your trajectory and helping you to vision in a different way. In 5 years this exercise is really exciting in terms of thinking about your trajectory in a new way, right? It helps you to think differently. It helps you to project into the future differently, and it can be really a meaningful exercise in terms of advancing your own vision for yourself and for your project. So again, this one is not compulsory, but we definitely encourage you to try it out and see what it brings forward for you. Again, this is another press release in 5 years, so it just gives you a little space to continue because we know it's not a lot of space to write. Then this one, again, not compulsory, but this is your ROI in 5 years, your return on investment. So if someone were to invest in your business, whether it is friends, family, via a loan or something else, what would they get back? Why do people want to work with you and invest in you or offer you a grant? This is your opportunity to sell yourself and your skills, not simply in flowery language, but in concrete terms. What are concrete terms? So it's not that, I am the best at XXX. That word best means nothing. It really means nothing. What is your unique selling points, right? What makes you different from what the offerings out there are? What makes you different? What is the product fit? How does your particular offer in terms of your product fit your target market in a way that is seamless, in a way that is sure, in a way that sells, right? Because you may have an offer, but it may not fit your market in the way that you think it does, because it's just about your ideas and your ideology. But have you tested it? Have you proven it? What says that this is a good investment? Well, you can say that my clothes sell for X amount of money, or I have shifted the thinking surrounding innovation in this way, or the detail of my work has been written about, in terms of how you've constructed a garment. So this is where I want you to think about your ROI. So then if persons invest in that, what are you going to do differently? How are you going to advance it? Are you going to bring it to more people? Are you going to create more prototypes? Are you going to patent something? So I want you to think about this carefully in terms of this ROI, return on investment. And that is essentially all that we need you to do in this exercise. I think it is very doable, and I'm excited to see what you'll bring forth so that we can help to publicize the work that you are doing in meaningful ways. I also want you all to create short videos, 1-minute videos about your story. what makes the work you do important to you? Where did it start? So, for example, if I'm telling a story about my work, I would say that I've always wanted to paint, I've always wanted to do the arts. And I found that the infrastructure in the region was so lacking in terms of being able to support a career in the arts for young people that I wanted to contribute to building that infrastructure because I didn't want others to go through the same experiences that I have in terms of not being able to pursue the career path that I really, really wanted to and believe that I was brought to do. So, what makes your story compelling in terms of why you do the work you do, why you're so passionate about it and committed to it, because that helps others to believe in you and believe in your work and invest in your work. So I'm looking forward to what you all do. Again, this has been our first community of practice session, and we are looking forward to seeing your profiles. Thank you. See you soon.